Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts and welcome back to day number 24 of March Madness. Today's page map sketch comes from March of 2024. I pulled out my Say Cheese collection and I do keep all four of the Say Cheese collections together, but today I am mainly going to be focusing on the Say Cheese 4 collection to document some photos of the Harmonious Nighttime Spectacular, which is EPCOT's fireworks show that was in effect for quite a while, but it has ended and there is a new show. I finally took the time to pull out my Goo Gone and my counter clean and cleaned my trimmer, because at this point the trimmer was giving me so many issues that when I tried to cut into this simple stories paper, which I never have issues with, it was tearing that paper as well. So I knew that it was time. Of course, once I cleaned it, it cut beautifully. For this particular layout, I'm actually going to piece together my background paper. So not only do I not have a white background, I actually don't have a background at all. The bottom part of the background is going to be that red paper. I took that firework paper and I'm going to span it across both sides of the layout, with a larger portion being on the right-hand side of the layout. I did measure the distance from the red paper to the top of the layout, so I knew exactly how much of that yellow star paper I needed to cut down. I went back and forth as to whether or not I could turn the star paper on its side. I was struggling with whether the star paper had a direction or not, but at the end I realized that it really didn't matter. It was just going to be a small piece, so I just went with it, which I'm kind of glad that I did, because I'm going to have a problem later on. I started to look through all of my paper and I could not find a paper for the top part of it. My struggle was that I had the yellow paper as well as the star paper and nothing seemed to be matching with it. I think I was trying to be too busy with so many of the different patterns. It was a struggle to try to find something. But this also shows you exactly how much Say Cheese collection I have. I have so much of it. I have a ton of Disney photos and I absolutely could use all of this paper and still not be done with all my photos, but I do have a lot of it. I finally end up with this particular paper here. It's like a cream color and at the top it has stars in the upper right hand corner, but I knew that I needed another piece to go over on the right hand side, and I also knew that I had a scrap of this because this is one of my favorite papers and I've used it quite a bit. I just love the stars, and this particular one does have some gold foil on it. Some of the stars have that gold shine and you might be able to see it depending on the way that the paper turns in the video. So now that I have all my papers picked out, I'm going to go ahead and get everything adhered down. I'm just adding some adhesive to the top of the paper and then adding the strip of paper on top of it, making sure that I'm definitely pulling out my T-square ruler so that I can make sure that this paper is straight. Then I was about to adhere the firework paper down, but then realized that I needed to go ahead and add that 1/4 inch strip. I did pull out this banner punch that kind of looks like a ticket and cut out the 1/4 inch strip to add between the yellow star and the red paper. And then I went ahead and got the firework paper down on the left and then started to work on the right hand side of the layout. Luckily, the firework paper was going to take up a majority of the right-hand side of the layout, and I'm just using the left-hand side of the layout as a guide to get those pieces down. This is definitely one of those things where I'm trying to stretch my paper, which I don't understand why I feel the need to stretch my paper since I have so much of it, but it's just in my nature to try to save the paper. And like I said just a few minutes ago, I am kind of glad because I'm going to make a major mistake in this layout and I'm actually going to have to recut the star paper over on the far left. So that's going to be interesting. I actually do that off camera because I realized it while I was editing the video that I made the mistake. All right, so I got the background done and then remembered that I needed to add the 1/4 inch strip to the right-hand side of the layout. I had already adhered it to the left-hand side, and because of that, I had no idea how big to cut it, and I actually don't end up cutting it the correct size, because once I lay it down, you can see there's a significant difference in these two. And the paper wasn't even cut straight. So I did try to find the largest piece because I knew that I only just needed a little piece. And I added that down, tucked it underneath the fireworks paper, Then I pulled out this black paper, cut it down to 1/8 of an inch, and added it to both the left and right so that I could cover up that gap from the striped paper. I cut out 2 of these, but I absolutely could have used the same one since I am going to be adding a photo there and it's going to cover up a majority of it. All right, these photos are from EPCOT. I do have a selfie of myself. I always make sure that I go and see the fireworks a few days before it ends. And for this particular one, I think it was a couple of days before Harmonious ended. I like to wait until everyone has kind of cleared out, and then I can get these really nice photos of the displays without anybody in the background. And then I also did pull some photos from a Disney blog. They had some amazing photos of the fireworks as well as the displays that were in this particular fireworks show. So I will link the Disney blog below so that you can go and check out these photos if you want to see them in closer detail, as well as more details about this particular fireworks show. And then I also have a photo of myself in front of Spaceship Earth. If you go up to the monorail platform, even if you're not riding the monorail, you can get this amazing shot of Spaceship Earth, and any one of the cast members will help you take that photo. Because my photos were so dark and I also had that black firework paper, I decided to go ahead and mat all of my photos on white cardstock. I am using the back of the paper from Eli's birthday celebration at EPCOT. I figured even though I wasn't going to be using the printed side, I might as well get use out of the white side. So I did pull out my layering guides to layer up all of these with that white, and I feel like that just makes my photos pop against this very, very busy background. I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down and using my T-square ruler. And this definitely was a solo trip. Eli is not into seeing fireworks. He does not get the magical experience that I feel every time I see fireworks. Disney fireworks are just completely different than any other fireworks show that I've ever seen, regardless of what park they're in. I started to work on the title cluster, and the sketch calls for a circle over on the far left, but I really wanted to bring in a 3x4 card since I have so many of those as well. I went through all of them and kind of narrowed it down to these 4, and then felt like I could figure out which one would look best after I figured out what letters I wanted to use. I did pull out these really pretty sparkly thickers to spell out Harmonious, and I will tell you that I have my phone over to the right because I wanted to make sure that I spelled this right, and I didn't spell it right. I realized that, so I took it up and added the extra N that I had forgotten. I looked several times at my phone to make sure that I spelled this right. I left all of this in because I was like, look, I'm not going to make any mistakes and I'm going to spell this really long word correctly, especially since it is a large portion of the left-hand side of the layout. I cut out one of my viewfinders and inked up the edges. I'm going to add that over to the right-hand side of the layout. And then I started to look through my Disney embellishment book, trying to find some other pieces that I thought would work. I did find a Mickey head, as well as a ticket that says special event. I really like that bingo card, but I felt like it was kind of busy, and then the red was also off. But then I found this film strip, and I really like that. I decided to add that to the top of my title. And right here is where I made that mistake. I put the letters back down, and I did not spell them correctly. And that is going to give me so many struggles later. I even trimmed out that film strip so that it wouldn't lay underneath my letters, and they're in the wrong order. I tried to make that heart work, but wasn't liking that. But then I found a blue tab, so I added that to the left-hand side of the photos. And then I decided that I would start to adhere all of the pieces down that I have been working with. I don't really have a lot of large clusters in this layout because I feel like I have a ton going on with that really busy background, as well as the photos are pretty busy. I pulled out these really tiny letters because I'm actually going to add Nighttime Spectacular. That is the full name of the fireworks show. It's Harmonious Nighttime Spectacular. And I don't know why I haven't used these tile letters before. I mean, I have, but I feel like it's been a while since I've used them because they're really small and I really like them. It's actually giving off that vibe of the old-timey label maker, the one that you actually had to squeeze. The tape itself was plasticky. That's the look that it's giving, and I really like it, even though it is plain sticker paper. I started to look through some of my other Disney stickers, and I did find one blue sticker that I'm going to add over to the far right that has a heart on it. And then I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to put down my title that is absolutely spelled wrong. At this point, I am just looking at it more as it's already down. I've already made sure that it's spelled correctly, and I'm not even thinking about it. Over on the right-hand side of the layout, I do add a banner in that corner. And that's really it. I'm not going to be adding a whole lot of other embellishments. I did decide to fill in each one of the film strips. I did decide to pull out my Echo Park stickers because I wasn't finding anything in my Simple Stories stickers. I found a circle that says Big Smile, so I added that, as well as an arrow. And then I found this camera and I thought that that worked perfectly, so I added that. I then tried to make this little tab work. I tried it in several places and I just could not make it work. I had this really tiny red star fell off the puffy sticker page, and I was like, oh, I'll just put it on my layout. And now that I'm looking at my layout, it didn't make it to it, so somehow it got lost in the shuffle. It was really tiny though. I pulled out my adhesive brads and added one to each one of the clusters on the left and right, and then I pulled out my color box in black and added a sparkly enamel dot to each cluster. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. Like I said, I did realize that Harmonious was spelled wrong and made those changes off camera. I also did my journaling offline, and it said I had to check out Harmonious one final time before it ended. It showcases the inspirational power of Disney music across various languages, featuring impressive floating set pieces, specially designed LED panels, and synchronized moving. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.